going on, Leeds JT, and welcome back. Dan Signings, a series, of course, we'll go through everything happening in and around the world of Leeds United. And we sit here and have a little talk about it. And let's not waste any more time riff-raffing. Let's get straight into the meat of the action with the first huge story breaking the rounds this morning was that Leeds United have agreed a deal in principle with Olympique Lyon for goalkeeper Lucas Perri. Medical test books and formal steps to follow. As Fabrice Hawkins reported this morning, there is a deal in place to join Leeds United. This was also backed up by Zinny Boswell, who said Leeds United have agreed a deal with Lyon for goalkeeper Lucas Perri. He will undergo a medical in Germany with Leeds on a pre-season tour. Fee is understood to be up to £15.6 million with personal terms already agreed. This is huge news. We've been speaking about Lucas Perri for a hot minute now. And ironically, on yesterday's video, I sat there telling you all, I wondered why Leeds hadn't pursued a goalkeeper yet. Was this signs that Illan Meslier was likely to stay at the club? Apparently, it then came out, one of you guys enlightened me in the comments yesterday, that it was because Fark didn't really see a goalkeeper as someone who needed that much tactical implementation, which is why he wasn't pushing for that move too quickly like he was with the defenders and the central midfielders. However, that deal now is finally done. Lucas Perri is on his way over to Leeds United. Well, he's on his way over to Germany to do his medical currently and link up with the boys on the pre-season tour. This is huge because we have been waiting in the wings for a goalkeeper to sign for Leeds United for such a long time now. We've been talking about so many names, but this is the main one I've been driving home. I said to you guys a month ago, I have a good feeling that Lucas Perri is going to be the man. It was just the name that popped up the most. It was the name that kept circulating the rounds week in, week out, and it's finally done, and I'm very excited about this one. We'll have to see if this pushes Illan Meslier's move over to Leicester or other clubs sooner, but we will keep you updated on that one as things progress. Now, one story which might be progressing the round slightly is Joshua Sargent again. Bloody heck, mate. It's been a couple of weeks since I've spoken about you, fella. Nice to see you back in the old Leeds United transfer rounds after he rejects an insane move and is now back open for other targets to find themselves. Leeds United are, of course, linked with Joshua Sargent, as we are every single summer, especially now that we have Daniel Fark there, who, of course, managed his former club, Norwich City. Joshua Sargent is now back on the radar after rejecting a move. But again, I think this is just another one of those stories in which he probably wants to move to Leeds. He probably wants to move to the Premier League. Maybe there's some sort of truth as to Leeds having interest in him, but it is very early stories right now. He rejected a move to Wolfsburg recently as well, and now he's back on the table. But let me know what you guys think. I know what you guys pretty much already think. Every comment always says, no, I don't really want Sargent. He's not the man for me. But it is a story that is breaking the rounds nonetheless. Another story which is breaking the rounds today is that Leeds United posted a little Instagram post yesterday. I actually saw this on their account. Maybe I was just, a Twitter post, X post, should I say. Maybe that's just my skeptical nature coming in. It did seem like this might be a little bit of a slide dig. There's articles now picking up and reporting on this. They put a little post saying, still working, still smiling, with a picture of Gnonto and Tanaka, of course. Gnonto had his whole transfer debacle at Leeds very recently, where he didn't want to stay when we got relegated, and he ended up being forced to stay, and has since kicked on and developed himself into a regular under Daniel Fark, and is now pushing forward to a Premier League campaign. And maybe that's a little dig at Joseph for the way he handled everything during pre-season and all of that, but we'll have to wait and see how the cookie crumbles on that one. Maybe that's just me reading into it a little bit too much. But the huge story of the day for me is that Leeds United might finally be landing our man Igor Paixao after, of course, rejecting that move to Olympique Marseille, well, the club rejecting the move to Olympique Marseille, and now Leeds United, according to Football Europa, have made a bid to sign Igor Paixao. The offer is said to be around £30 million, which is close to Feyenoord's asking price of £35 million. The door obviously opened after Marseille and Feyenoord were locked in talks for days, but unable to reach an agreement, opening the door for Leeds United, and now we have reportedly lodged that bid. This is a initial bid. We'll have to wait and see if Feyenoord are going to accept this bid. There are reports circulating around from numerous outlets that apparently personal terms between the club and the player are not an issue in this deal. It is an issue of making the deal happen with the club. It's got add-ons to it, which I think take it to around the £35 million price range, but the actual scope of what the add-ons are yet to be fully revealed to me, at least from everything that I've read. But a bid has been submitted, and now it is just a waiting game. Apparently it is around £5 million less than what Feyenoord actually want for him, but considering the fact that everything went down the way it did with Marseille, maybe they will be happy to take this bid. And I think this is just a game of negotiations now. You don't want to go in with your best offer, hence why Leeds were toying around, trying to see how cheap we can get it, and now we've gone in with our official offer, £30 million plus add-ons to take it to around £35 million total, slightly under what they were expecting for it, but I think this could be a deal that progresses very, very quickly by the end of the week now, because Feyenoord are not going to want to mess around in negotiations left, right and centre. The player isn't going to want to be locked into negotiations with 3 or 4 different clubs for weeks and weeks on end. So I think we are definitely going to get an answer, if not by the end of this week, definitely early to mid stages of next week, as to whether this deal is confirmed and going through or not. But we will have to wait and see how the cookie crumbles on that one. Let me know what you guys think. Does this impact Leeds' money that we can spend on a striker? Are we going to have to go cheap on a striker now, because we would have just spent around £45 million on both a goalkeeper and a winger, which could really impact our PSR? At the moment, I don't really care. I just want to get this deal done. It's interesting because he does play on the left, and, you know, I think Ramazani is the best player at the club right now, as I've said many times, and I want him to really kick on in that position. But I'm very excited about signing Igor Paixao. He's going to add that much needed sprinkle of quality in there. But let me know what you guys' thoughts on this are down below. Do you see it as hogwash, or do you see this as a good move moving forward? Now, there are other stories in the news. Leeds United, of course, still need that number 10, and Leicester City are a club Leeds United might be looking at to get that done. Of course, we're linked with selling them both Bamford and Meslier. Maybe we could use that as a sweetener in negotiations for their star player Bilal El Khanous. With the future of the man very complicated, Leicester are keen to keep hold of the playmaker, as he showed decent strengths in the Premier League. He is 21 years of age and has been posting cryptic messages teasing Leicester fans about his future. Will he be on his way out to the Premier League and Leeds United? That is a question that needs to be answered very, very shortly, because it is being reported by The Athletic that Leeds are now tracking his movements. Let's have a little look at Mr. Elyounoussi El Khanous himself, and have a little look at his stataroonies for the Premier League last year. He played 32 games, registering 2,000 minutes, scoring 2 goals and 3 assists in the process. He's played 27 games in the attacking midfield role, 1 game in the central midfield role, 3 from left mid and 2 from left wing. And this, for me, makes a lot more sense than someone like Uche, who we were linked with. It makes a lot more sense than someone like Buendia, who we were linked with, because the vast majority of his games have been played in that central attacking midfield role, which is exactly what we need. We don't need someone who can play left, right, central forward, because we've got 3 options in centre forward right now in Harry, Gray, Pirot and Nemetra, and if we're going to add a striker, we need an out-and-out number 9 who's going to fit that position. The wide areas were well stocked. If we are progressing for Paixao, we'll have 3 left wingers. We'll probably have to get rid of Harrison and leave Ramazani and Paixao as that option, and then you've got DJ and Nonto on the right. We need an out-and-out number 10 if we are going to sign one. It makes sense for me. He's young. He's got scope to develop. He's also young, which means that he can also potentially be someone who's more humbled and more open to Fark's style of play. He's not going to question it so much, because he'll just be happy to relish the opportunity of playing in the Premier League. Having said that, his stats aren't the most impressive. I would like someone who's registering a lot more than 3 assists in a Premier League campaign. Granted, he only played 32 games in, well, only 32, that's a lot of games, only 2,000 minutes of football, and I really do want to see how he can kick on in potentially a side who are going to have a lot more quality around it in Leeds United than Leicester did last year. But we'll have to wait and see how the cookie crumbles on this one. Another story that might be of interest to some Leeds fans is that, of course, our boy Charlie Cresswell is now on the radar of newly promoted side Sunderland ahead of their first stint back in the Premier League in a hot minute. Could he come to haunt Leeds United next year? That we'll have to wait and see. Apparently, he is in talks to leave Toulouse and go over to Sunderland. We'll have to wait and see how this one unfolds, but it might have been an interest to you because I know a lot of you are very keen on the Leeds youth side and supporting our homegrown lads. So he might be on his way back to the Premier League. Final huge story of the day is around this man, of course, Mr. Rodrigo Muniz, as Leeds United wait on the £50 million transfer. The deal hinges on one crucial condition that it is being reported, which is, of course, the price tag and whether Fulham are going to secure that striker replacement, which they have been heavily rumoured to be doing. They've been making a lot of strides in the transfer market to bring in another striker, and maybe that could reduce the asking price that they're asking Leeds United to meet. Leeds are not keen to meet Fulham's £50 million price tag, which is a very, very high price tag, so I don't mind that. But Leeds are reportedly very confident that the Cottagers will eventually cave in and do a deal. According to The Athletic, Fulham are likely to sell the striker once they sign a forward this ongoing transfer market. Marco Silva wants a new striker before he agrees to sanction the Brazilian sale, and Leeds are willing to wait to sign him until that happens. Are they mugging us off? That's the only potential fear you can have, is that they're saying this and they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and it'll get to the last couple of weeks of the transfer window and they'll turn around and say, listen, mate, he ain't going nowhere. Get mugged off, mate. You thought you were signing him. You ain't signing him. We're keeping him. So we'll have to wait and see how this one unfolds. It's a risky play from Leeds United, but it's a ballsy play. And if it comes off, I absolutely rate it. We've seen Leeds take their time in the transfer market, not rush to spend £30 million on Habib Diarra and then go and spend just over £30 million on a combined midfield force of both Statch and Longstaff, who is better than Diarra by himself, in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see. It's a ballsy move from Leeds United. It's interesting that we're still being linked with a lot of other strikers as well. So Leeds keeping their options open, always a positive sign. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think this deal will eventually get done, or do you think Leeds need to look elsewhere? But those are all the main stories of the day. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Are you excited about Perri? Are you licking your chops at Igor Paixao's move over to Leeds United? Let me know everything down below. But for now, though, I will see you very, very soon. Au revoir, my brothers and my sisters.